This video is on my son Brandon's allergies. I had said I would post a video on it. My son Brandon is my youngest of four. He is 17 months old. When he was born, I was breastfeeding him from the beginning, and I'm going to try to get as much information in here as I can, but I'm sure I'll forget because it's been over a year battle with his allergies. So around 3 months old, I noticed that he started getting a small rash on his cheeks. So I knew about eczema because my oldest had eczema pretty bad, but just on his face. So I brought it up to his doctor, to Brandon's doctor, when I went in for his physical, and I told him that he's having this allergy and I don't know what to do. And with my oldest son, after it got really bad, he was prescribed hydrocortisone and it helped. It cleared it within a week, and then after that it was just maintaining it. It was just fine. So I asked him what should I do, and he said nothing, just wash him with mild soaps and make sure that his skin is constantly moisturized, and put cream, not lotion, because lotion contains alcohol and it may dry it and aggravate it further. So I said okay, and I went home and did all those things that he recommended, and it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And by the time he was about 6-7 months old, it was already really, really bad. It was like from his head down to his toes. And it was like a patch here, a patch there, but it was all over the place. It wasn't just on his face anymore. And and I was breastfeeding him. I breastfed him till he was almost 10 months old. So I was wondering what it was. Maybe it was something I was eating, and I didn't know if he needed allergy testing. So at his 6-month checkup, I brought it up to the doctor. The doctor agreed that his skin looked pretty bad and he probably should get a allergy blood test. So he referred us to an allergist, at which point the allergist recommended a blood test, and then he gave us triamcinolone to put on his body and said go home, give him a bath every day, apply the triamcinolone, and then when the blood test comes back, we'll see if he needs to be cut out with certain foods. So I said okay. So I came home and I did the routine he gave me, every detail about I had to give him a bath every day. I had to apply the triamcinolone all over the areas that were broken out. And on top of that, I had to apply lotion, or not lotion, a cream. His recommendation was Aquaphor, or if not Aquaphor, Vaseline. And he also recommended Cetaphil if like I needed more. So when I came home, I first bought the Cetaphil, the Vaseline, and the Aquaphor. I came home. From that night on, I just would give him a bath, put the triamcinolone on his rash, then I would cover him completely with cream, and then on top of that I would cover him with Vaseline to keep in the moisture. Nothing was working. It was just getting worse. About a week later, we went back in for his follow-up to find out the results of the blood test, and it turned out that he had allergies to peanuts, which he's never eaten, eggs, which he also had not eaten, and it was one more other, wheat, none of which he had eaten, but obviously it was from me because I was eating it and I was breastfeeding him. So I cut it out, but I would get like conflicting information. I would find out from nutritionists that it was okay, that the allergens get filtered out before they go into your breast milk, so it wouldn't be your breast milk. It doesn't bother him if you eat eggs and you feed him. And then the doctor would say, no, of course it matters. So I stopped eating those things, and I breastfed him. I continued, but it just continually kept getting worse. And it lasted for a long time. So finally, a week after his first birthday, I decided I'm going to cut him off of formula because that might be the case too. At this time, I cut him off of breast milk at 10 months. Between 10 months and 12 months, his first birthday, I was giving him Infamil. I gave him the gentle one. It was I forgot the name, but it was not regular Infamil because we were worried that it would make his allergies worse. So it was just the one that was, oh, it was Nutramigen. So we fed him Nutramigen for those 2 months, and I cut him off at his first birthday and decided to try soy milk instead of going straight to regular milk because I didn't want him to get worse with his allergies. So a week after his first birthday, we put him on soy milk, and immediately, by the end of that night, he had gotten probably 50% more worse than he already was, and he was just throwing up, having diarrhea, throwing up, having diarrhea, and he was so broken out. It was a nasty rash from the top of his head down to the bottom of his feet, and it was completely covered. It was not patchy anymore. It was like one big rash from the top of his head down to his feet. It was very hard. He was suffering. You could tell he was very itchy. He was very uncomfortable. He had started sleeping through the nights when he was about 4 weeks old, and then at around 6 months, when the allergies started getting bad, he would wake up at nights, but during that time when I gave him soy milk, it just got really bad. He was constantly waking up. He couldn't get 1 hour straight sleep. And by 2 days, I was like, oh my God, I need to take this child to some hospital. At this point, we had already been to the hospital 3 other times for his allergies. And all they did was give us steroid pills, told us give him a bath every day. It was like they didn't believe me when I would say I do all these things already. It's not helping. I cut him off the food that he's not supposed to have, but it's not helping. He's still breaking out. So one night I was giving him a bath, and he just looked like he had given up on life. He was so depressed. His head was down. He looked miserable, and I just couldn't take it anymore. I decided that I was just gonna go and figure out if I should take him to urgent care or an ER again. Children's Hospital LA is where I would take him, or something else. So I called my mom crying. I told her I can't do this anymore. He's suffering too much. I just want to figure out what to do. So she said, okay, let's go take him to a different hospital, maybe St. Joseph or something. So I said, okay. I went and picked her up. My aunt wanted to come too. And when I picked up both my mom and aunt up to go to the hospital, my aunt said, why don't we take him to UCLA, because they're supposed to be top of the line for allergies for adults, and Children's Hospital is supposed to be top of the line for children's allergies. So I don't know why they kept sending me home and not doing anything else. So I took him to UCLA, and I begged them to please listen. It's not a typical allergy. Something's going on. He's miserable. He's getting worse. So I had like 4 different pediatricians come in there to question me. One came, then went and got another one, then the other one came, and then the other one, they left again, and then 2 pediatricians came in at the same time, and they were both questioning me. The 2 that came in were the ones that were the most thorough with the whole issue. So they asked me all kinds of questions, like where do we live? Is there construction going on? Did I introduce him to anything new? What am I washing my clothes with? Just about every single question you could possibly ask, they asked me that could affect him. Do we have carpets? How often do we wash them? Do people walk into our house with shoes? All kinds of questions. So I told them everything I knew, and we asked them like if they would please admit him and find out what's going on, because obviously this is not a emergency thing where you could just keep him for an hour and release him, because it just never goes away. So they said Sorry, some person from England keeps calling me. I don't know why. But um so they said they had to speak to the head pediatrician and let me know what's going on and if they're going to decide to admit him or not. So I said, okay, thank God, I think we're getting somewhere. So they leave and they come back like an hour and a half later and they tell me that yes, the head pediatrician decided that we were gonna keep him and we're gonna transport him to Santa Monica UCLA. So I was like glad, and they said they had a whole plan for him. They had an entire schedule. They were gonna do different things to figure out what it was. So I said okay, and they left. And then about an hour later, they came back in and they said the insurance declined him to stay there, so we have to be transported back to Children's Hospital, or not back to, but that's where we have to go. And the ambulance would have to transport us because at this point Brandon had an IV and everything. So I was like, please don't do that. We've already been there 3 other times. All they do is send us home with steroids and some instructions on giving him a bath and things I've been doing for months. They said no, they had contacted the pediatrician at the children's hospital and they had explained to him exactly what they were going to do. They sent him a detailed email on all the procedures they were going to follow with Brandon at that hospital. So they wanted them to do the same exact thing at the children's hospital, and they told me there was a bed ready for us. This was at about 2:30 in the morning. And both Brandon and I were exhausted. Brandon fell asleep. Poor kid, he had been through a lot. He had to be poked 5 times before they finally got the IV in the right place. So they transported us at 6 a.m. is when the ambulance finally arrived to take us to the children's hospital. We got there, they admitted us, asked me the same series of questions. They decided on what they were going to do. They had an allergist, immunologist come in. They also had a dermatologist come in. It was like now they had a bunch of different kind of doctors just coming in to check on him and figure out what they were going to do to make him feel better immediately. The allergist that came in, and as soon as he saw Brandon, he immediately said, this child has staph infection on his skin. He needs antibiotics immediately. So and then he took swabs of the sores on his face. He had sores all over here. He had sores right here. It was like really nasty, weepy sores. The rest was all broken out all over his face. It was like red dots and stuff, but over here and above the lips was really bad. It was cracked, it was weepy, it was really bad. And the rest of his body had patches like that, but whichever part that wasn't patched like that and weepy was red and bumpy. It was like they were all getting there at some point. So he immediately prescribed. He was 100% sure that he had an infection. So he told us that we needed to go home, bleach the entire house, and because it's highly contagious, I suppose, and we had to get tested, and our other 3 kids had to get tested. So they hooked him up to IV antibiotics, and they gave me a routine every day. I had to give him a bath twice a day. I had to apply the triamcinolone twice a day to those affected areas. And then I had to cover him with cream or Vaseline on the areas I did not apply triamcinolone. Because the doctor informed me at that point that when you apply triamcinolone, don't apply Vaseline over it because you're removing the medication. While the other allergist had told us it's okay to apply directly over it. So at this point, his body was so broken out, all we were doing was putting triamcinolone on him because there was no areas left to put anything else. So, oh my God. So anyway, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. Some guy called earlier from England looking for some battlefield or something, and I told him he called the wrong number. Now he keeps calling back. I don't know what's going on. It was kind of creepy. Anyway, so we stayed at the hospital for 5 days. By the end of the stay, Brandon's skin. Okay. Brandon's allergies were completely cleared up. They had taken blood to do an extensive blood test. I think it's called RAST, RAST, to find out exactly what he was allergic to. And they told me they were not gonna have those results for about 2 weeks. They told me. So the staph infection results did come back positive. He did have staph infection. At this point, his skin had been clearing up dramatically. I mean, the day after we were there, his skin was almost completely clear. I was just shocked. And and what bothered me is I felt like no one believed me when I would tell them I was doing everything that I was directed to do, and it wasn't helping. So the doctor explained that sometimes getting IV antibiotics is a lot more effective than putting it on the skin or taking it by mouth. So I'm assuming that's what made it better faster. Anyway, so we left the hospital after 5 days of staying there. We came home. His skin pretty much stayed clear for about a week or two until he started breaking out again. We finally went in for the blood test results about 2 weeks after his doctor's or his hospital stay, and the doctor told us that he has class 6 allergies to milk, wheat, soy, and eggs, which was crazy because I did not realize that he could have such bad allergies to all those things. That explained why he reacted so badly after I introduced him to the soy milk a week after his first birthday. And then he also said he has a bunch of other allergies that are not class 6 but like class 3 and 4. For example, he had cat allergies, dog allergies, cockroach allergies, bunch of outdoor allergies like trees and the dust and whatever flies around out there, seasonal allergies. He had allergies to wheat and oat, and he didn't test for peanuts. I don't know why, but he said we're just gonna stay safe and assume that he has allergies to that too. And they also said that we're gonna stay safe and assume he also has allergies to strawberries, which he didn't get tested for, and fish. Fish was not tested either, but he said we're gonna stay safe and assume he's allergic to that too. So his diet is completely restricted. It was impossible to figure out what to feed this child. It was basically down to plain rice, brown rice, potatoes, meat, which is a good thing. Thankfully, he could have meat. I don't season it. I put maybe a little bit of salt in there. Sometimes I'll add a couple, like some basil or something to give it flavor, but normally he just doesn't mind eating the plain meat. So it really narrowed our options, and the doctor said his allergies were bad enough that it's probably going to be there for several years before it starts clearing up and he's okay to eat those things. He did say there's a good chance he will grow out of it because he's so young right now. So that's what we're hoping for. We do have an EpiPen. We were prescribed an EpiPen we have to carry around everywhere we go. They showed us how to use it, and they told us that it's only if there's a life-threatening emergency and we feel that his airways are clogging up and he cannot breathe. So thankfully none of that has occurred, and we also have been avoiding all the foods on that list, and his skin has pretty much become much better. I mean, he hardly has a breakout on his skin. Once in a while he'll get small patches and then we will immediately apply the triamcinolone and it clears up. The only problem we're having is with the face. Above his lip and on his chin, he has really bad cracked, dry skin and eczema, and it's just as much as I apply the triamcinolone, as much as I apply Vaselines and creams and give his bath every day. It doesn't seem to clear up, and we're really careful about what he eats. But once in a while it'll clear, but majority of the time he has a rash on his face. I guess it comes with the territory. I'm just glad that he's not miserable. What was shocking and surprising was that after we did this, I mean, within a week after coming home from the hospital, Brandon was a completely different person. He was just absolutely happy. He was playful. He was walking around, running around, having so much fun with his siblings. And he's such a happy child. And he's picked up a lot of words. He says sentences. He's 17 months old. He says sentences like, I want to eat, I want to sleep, I want a bottle. I mean, it was like I brought home a different baby from the hospital. It's a night and day difference with him. And I just had not realized how badly his allergies were bothering him. And when I think about it now, I feel terrible because I was so used to him being so whiny and like attached that I thought that that's just the way he is. And I was okay with it. I would hold him every day regularly. I had to drop everything I did on a regular basis to hold him, which I didn't mind. He's my baby, you know. I knew he was uncomfortable. I just didn't realize that he was so extremely uncomfortable that he wasn't even being himself at that point. So I'm just so glad. It was such a big stress relief to have him get better. And I feel terrible when I see other parents going through this whole mess of allergies and this allergy world and trying to figure out what to feed the kids and constantly worried about if they'll come in contact and we got to make sure at a birthday party he's not touching this or eating that or someone doesn't give him food and I don't know what. It's a lot of work. It's like another full-time job, but I mean, for the most part, I'm thankful that that's all I'm dealing with, really. There's parents out there who deal with much worse things than that, and it makes me sad, but well, that's about it. Let me know if you have any questions and if you have any children that have allergies that you want to talk about or any information or anything like that. Thank you so much. Talk to you guys later. Bye.